Hey, y'all, what's going on? We're just trying to give you a little bit of groove. A little groove. Well, I talk about what grinds my gears before we get started today. Aiden doesn't grind my gears. The Chop Shop episode you're hearing right now, episode 5 or 6, I believe, of Aiden Taylor, who happens to be also our oldest and having a birthday next week, turning the big 2-4. You need music, you need stingers, you need intro, outros for your shows, for your podcasts, for your commercial. Aiden Taylor music's for you. All right, let's jump out of there, and we're going to talk today about a few things. I didn't bring up the chat and everything. Hang on a second. My God, am I new? I'm new. This is my first time doing anything, I think. What am I doing? All right. Now the chat is open. Now I can do this, I think, effectively. Hey. All right. Let me just move this stuff around again because I am, again, new to all these things. I don't understand, Scott. Why are you doing this? All right. Don, time for some coffee. There you go. Get it in you. And, yeah, and Rich wants to know 24. Yes, sir. Are you more shocked at my youthful look or his age? I don't know. But, oh, yeah, he's 24 going on 40. And awesome. So it's real nice. And Jennifer, howdy, right back to you. My older brother lives in Texas. He lives in Frisco, just outside of Dallas. And I don't have to tell that to most people in Texas. They already know that. But when I say Frisco, they're like, San Francisco? And no, not at all. So welcome to the live stream. Of course, I was late hopping on here and didn't have all this stuff ready. But it's okay. We're just going to keep going as we go. What's up, Ian? These are great. Good timing. Your book has arrived this morning. Well, that is a phenomenal timing. I'm not as eloquent as the books because Allison writes the books, and she is much more eloquent than I. But I will put it to you in a way that I can today. And hello from Germany. Is it Jürgen? Please let me know if I pronounced that right. And hello from Canada. Good to see you. Welcome to the live broadcast, the 3rd, 4th. I don't even know at this point. But we're going to talk about a few things today about PR and influencers and sponsorships and partnerships. And the reason I'm doing these live is really to work through the content for this, for the Unmarketing Academy, and it really helps me, understanding my style and what makes me the most productive, and kind of looking for holes and gaps in what we're trying to roll out with the Academy. This is the best way for me to do it. So we figured if I get the reps into doing this, it helps us create the Academy. And then hopefully some of this content helps you. So it's kind of that win all around, we hope, for this type of stuff. Tabitha is from Halifax. What's up, East Coast? Nothing beats the Maritimes. Nothing. Jeff is hello from Wisconsin, like Canada, but with more beer and cheese. Oh, I don't know. Some people are going to argue about that. Yesterday, I did a webinar for Travel Wisconsin, so the Wisconsin Tourism Board event, the governor's Wisconsin one. So cool. And I still have some of my stuff sitting around. It's the Stein I got from the book tour, from the Milwaukee or the MKE book tour stop, which was one of my favorite ones of the 30 City Unbooked tour. We'll tell you about that one day. And it was awesome and amazing. And I had to put a Green Bay Packers sticker on my microphone, and it hurt my soul because I'm a Detroit Lions fan, but everything else hurts my soul. But Jeff, I will argue, cheese, yes. Although we have a lot of cheese made here as well, but the beer, yeah, we might argue that Canadians take our beer very seriously. And yay, got your name right. Thank you, Jürgen, for letting me know. And I'm just saying, I don't have to say it. That's all. Look, we as a country have an inferiority complex about a lot of things, and our beer is not one of them. Our beer and our poutine and other things, we are very confident, and so thank you. And Tabitha's literally across the street from the Alexander Keith's Brewery. The Canadians are coming in to defend the true North strong and free and beer. Yeah, we do take that stuff kind of personally. Welcome, Greg. Yes, go Knights. Exactly. Good to see you. All right, so let's talk today about one thing first. My beef. Now, why I want to talk about this and why I brought this up, and why this was at the start of the live today is I got this notification yesterday on LinkedIn about one of my posts. So it's not enough for us to have, these imposter syndromes and self-doubt. It's not enough during a pandemic where a lot of us are questioning our very purpose and existence. But LinkedIn's got to remind us that nobody's reading the posts we made. Okay, I get it. I get it somewhat. Except for the fact that their suggestion for getting more engagement is to tag people in the comments. I can't stand this. I cannot stand this at all. And yeah, it's coming from somebody who gets tagged a lot in it. And I know, Crimea River, I get it. Whoa, people are tagging you in it. No, this is selfish. Tagging others so they'll come see your post. I look at all actions on any social media platform or anything we do in business or in life, actually, with one rule. What if everybody did this? Honestly, that's what I ask. What if everybody did this? Because people say, what's the problem? So they tagged you. Give them some love. No. They're tag spamming me, and then they're guilting me into that. Yeah, I know that's self-imposed. I don't feel guilt about it now. It makes me mad. If the post is about me, then tag me in it. If the post is about something we just talked about, sure, you could tag, but you're leveraging other people's reach. Because what happens is, when LinkedIn says, hey, come do this, which is it's just against so many things for me, and you tag somebody, you're now trying to leverage their social currency with their network. Because once you tag somebody in it, LinkedIn can also put it out in the news feed saying, hey, if you're connected to me, Scott was tagged in this recent post. It's not authentic. It's not cool to do this. And by the way, my post has 55 views so far. Okay. It was a post that I shared of somebody else's, which always doesn't get the main algorithm going because it feeds it to the main post. So I shared a post I liked, and I thought it was really good. And I shared it to help also amplify it, because that's one of the best ways you can thank somebody for creating compelling content on a platform, is to then share it. Not only comment and like, but also share it. That's like all three things to the algorithm saying, all right, this is really resonating. And then share it. And I know that a lot of the traffic is then sent to the main post and it goes out there. And then my name is tagged. Now, we talked about this last week when we were talking about third circle and viral marketing. And if you haven't watched that, you just go to my profile. You'll see every Wednesday we do one of these right now. And what this is doing and saying is it's not good enough. Use this kind of sketchy method. LinkedIn, please stop. Please. I know the site was built on the backbone of spamming business people. I know that. It's the great warm spam capital of social media, right? It's the friendly unsolicited commercial communication, or FUCC. FOOC. That's my problem with it. If everybody did this, going back to what I was saying before, if everybody did this on LinkedIn, would you ever go? No. If everybody on LinkedIn say, hey, I'm really interested in your business, Scott, I'd love to connect with you, and then I accept, and then you just send me a spam message of you at your business, would you stay? Well, no, that's what happens a lot of the time now. This is why I talk about this stuff. It's so selfish. It's so selfish to do these type of things. And LinkedIn's recommending it. So I don't even blame people for doing it. It's selfish to me. All right, we'll take this off. We'll get some comments in here. And of course, the Wisconsin move, right? At least my football team is better than yours. There you go. I get it. I already did, dude. It's Jeff. It's just a weak argument. I already said my team's terrible. See, you can't. I get it. You got a great football team. I understand. Green Bay. How's your basketball team doing? I wasn't sure. You guys good? You guys. Cause I got stuff. Oh, it's the big flag over there. It says "We the North," so it's just a, championship and all that stuff. So, Tabitha says, "I've recently received that recently too, and thought the exact same thing. It's pushing an agenda in a really negative way." Exactly. Karina, same thing. Yeah, it's just about tagging people who are in there. LinkedIn user, sorry, there's a setting. I guess I haven't said so. Whatever if everybody does, it's not just annoying. It's shredding the personal relationship they have with the person they're tagging. Exactly. Touche. Touche, Lance. Yes. And also, it's great. The 55 views. Now, the views, again, are in somebody's timeline, but here's that. But Rich, I don't have, it was not 55 likes. It was 55 views. So there's a difference. But yeah, thank you. And by the way, if you don't know Lance, you should. Lance is we call him the unpersonal trainer. Not because he's not personal, but because he's so different than any other personal trainers. He's wonderful. If you need one virtually, get at him. If you need him in person, or eventually, then be in the Southern Ontario area. Not sure how far Lance goes, but he's amazing. Angela says, I am the queen of untagging myself. I even asked post creators to untag me and shared why, giving them a chance to do it first. It's very kind of you too, Angela. It's very kind of you to give them a chance. And that makes you a better person than I with that. And I just have gotten fed up with it. But I really do commend you for this, because we do need more kindness. And so, Angela, if you want, we'd like to send you a pair of I'm Not the Jackass Whisperer socks. We decided to up our game this week. And I love that comment, and I love that thought process. So if you'd like them, it just says I'm Not the Jackass Whisperer on them, and they're really yellow. So if you'd like the pair, please send me a private message on LinkedIn with a mailing address, and we'll get those out to you. I love that comment. Thank you, Angela. It was very kind of you. Jennifer says, I hate the one after they reached out about some business proposition, and then 3 months later they send you a note to say, this is my last time reaching out to you. I'm like, okay, do I care? If I didn't answer the first time, I'm not going to answer again with your threat of this is the last time. Exactly. It's like that pickup move. It's the negging. Well, if I just turn it on them, and I'm just like, what? Are you going to guilt me into talking to you? It's like when I get the email from, I can't remember who it was. I think it was either Chapters Indigo or Shoppers Drug Mart. And, I got the email. I got an email from them, and I'm sure you got them, and anybody here in digital marketing especially knows of them. It's the ones the inactive subscribers, and you have an ability to, send a note to all of your inactives who haven't opened in a long time, or segment it, or just remove them from your list. And yeah, there's arguments on either side, and I'm happy to argue those any day. But we got one, and we put it in, I believe, in QR code Skill Kittens, which was like, do you not want these anymore? If you don't open this, or if you don't click on this button in this email, we're going to remove you from our newsletter list you never open. Relax. Relax. All right? You're not that special, and neither am I. It's an email list. Relax. Speaking of that, next week, we're going to do email marketing on the live. So next Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, we picked the topic of newsletter and email marketing and some of the things we have done in the past and what worked and what hasn't. So same time, same channel here next week. We'll put it up probably this afternoon with a notification if you want it. Yeah. And yay, and Angela wants the socks. Good. Just send me a note. It's great. Tabitha says, I feel like it's a way for them to increase reach for advertising dollars. I might be wrong, but I can't see another reason for recommending this type of action. Yeah, but that's it. You're exactly right, Tabitha. The thing with this is, oh, sorry, Rich, didn't mean to put that one out there. Look, all these sites play off relevance. The reason why they play off relevance is because relevance equals attention and time. And that's the name of the game. It's exactly about, and it becomes down to this. Exactly. It's the advertising, it's the MUAs, the monthly, or the MAUs, the monthly active users, and the amount of time they spend on the platform. And that's sellable. Okay. So not only are you, the old phrase, right? If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So a couple of things. One, the more you go, the more I'm there, the more I get served ads. But also, the more I'm there, the more they can sell that information saying, look how long our users stay. That's why on YouTube, if you ain't working with the algorithm, they ain't serving up your video. They don't need exits. They don't want exits. So they're trying to keep you as long as possible. So they go for that. So, and Jeff says, my favorite line, maybe you're not the right person I should be talking to. Can you please pass me into the right person? I am the right person, but I'm not interested. It's like, unless you don't like another person at the company or something, and you're like, yeah, just talk to Brenda or whatever that is. It's not something that you want to get into that move. And we'll talk about this next week, but there's like an email. One of the things that was going around a few years ago, I don't know if any of you saw this one, but it was the Jennifer Lawrence email. It became they call them like swipe files, which is like emails, templates that work well or that get opened and blah, blah, blah. And you can buy it right now for $37 through this Instagram ad with a countdown clock that actually isn't real. Yeah, that just happened as well. And this was about, I've always had two goals in life, is to get a reply from two people or go on a date with Jennifer Lawrence and get a reply from you. And well, I also haven't heard from Jennifer Lawrence. So I'm just wondering. And they're like, it's funny. So they're going to laugh and they're going to like me, which is a thing of marketing, right? Know, like, and trust, until the fourth time you get it from somebody. And then it's just unoriginal. It's like the broetry on LinkedIn with the one line hard return space, one line hard. It's fine. The first 3 times I read the story, that was authentic to 3 different people separately, written the exact same way. But the fourth really gets to me. Yeah. And I've tried to reach you a few times. Yeah, I'm getting that right now. I get that too with PR, which is what we'll talk about today. But I get that with PR or people trying to pitch unpodcast guests. And they're like, I'm really just trying to reach out to you and do this. So I'm like, no, you didn't do your homework. You didn't do your research. By the way, our show does not have guests, which is a hilarious thing. People reach out and they're like, I think I have another great guest for you. I'm like, another? We really love your show. No, you don't. I wrote that to somebody yesterday that pitched a guest. He's like, I love your show. And I wrote back, no, you don't. Stop lying. Stop lying. You don't have to. We'll talk about this today. You don't have to lie. You just have to do the work. Oh. Thank you, Mr. Chase. Mr. Chase, who always has the best profile photos. Love me some Michael. Thank you. I'm glad you like the setup. If I could just center the freaking camera properly, I'd be happy. But again, I came down with less time than I usually do because, planning Scott. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Jennifer was saying to Jeff, even if it wasn't the person, like, I'm going to give you my boss or colleague's name and number. Exactly. Thank you, Paula. Good to see you on here, Paula. They could keep me around longer if they gave up free samples like the warehouse stores. Throw some cookies or Hot Pockets at me and I'll subscribe to it. That's very good. The next will be live video podcast bombing. Can I help you with your setup? Need a new poster for your walls? Got maybe a new character action? Exactly. Well, first of all, I always need new characters or statues, and these are always awesome. Let's see if I can pull them over there. You can see there's the Joker. You can see the Joker, and you can see the Destroyer too there as well. A couple of my favorites. Yeah, but yeah, you're exactly right. All right, let's get into this. Sorry, it took a very long time for you that are getting lunch or breakfast or a midnight snack or wherever you are. Yes, and exactly. And I'd be doing the Gen X sign at the hip. Bingo. That would be a huge seller. At least 6 out of our 7 listeners of the show would buy that as well. All right, let's hop in. Let's get into this nitty-gritty stuff today. For those of you that have come for the earth-shattering content. So here we go. So I always leave this up here. I gotta represent how long I've been on LinkedIn to be here to talk to you about this type of stuff. But this is kind of forming outside of LinkedIn, these ones. The first one was about LinkedIn, and we're kind of going into the whole kind of academy stuff right now. And today we're going to talk about the trust gap in influencers and sponsorships and partnerships. And so, and aligning with other people or companies for the betterment of yours and hopefully theirs. So that's what we're going to go through today in this type of stuff. So let's talk about the sales funnel. If you've been on these lives, you'll know that we've done these. We talked about the sales funnel a bit, but I want to make sure I cover it, especially people watching this video who haven't watched the earlier ones, but it won't be too repetitive. I promise you, for our hardcore ones that have been on here for all of them, or you've watched the recording of these. So the sales funnel is nothing new. You've all seen it. You've all talked about it. They raise their hand, you go into the funnel, you nurture it, and hopefully you convert a certain percentage. And as the funnel goes down, right, the percentage can go down of who you convert, but that's the point. They're in your funnel, and then you can retarget them, you can remarket to them, but you get them in. They got to raise their hand and say, yes, please. And we'll talk next week about them raising their hand to come into your newsletter or email funnel, which is different necessarily sometimes as a strict sales funnel. So this is where it goes. It's really what happens is it's at the person that's trying to sell, the marketer, the salespeople, the company, maybe you individually, because you wear all the hats. What we're shouting at everybody, saying, get into the funnel. Come on into my funnel. Come on into my funnel, and you'll join it. But it's not that. Okay, it's this. Everybody is shouting, come into our funnel, right? To all these different funnels, and you've somehow got to separate yourself from that. And everybody's sitting there, and it looks like you're yelling at an audience, but you're not a lot of the time. You're not yelling at your target market or an audience. You're not shouting. And this actually was the first premise I came up with on marketing. Okay, this is the first thing I came up for the company originally when I started it 20 years ago. There is a difference between push and pray marketing and pull and stay. This is the cornerstone of what I believe in on marketing. That you can blast out your message and you pray a certain people first hear it and then act on it. And I rather pull people towards us with quality content, community relationships, and stay in their orbit. So when they have a need for what we offer, they pick us without hesitation. That's the difference. And that's where we look at. Because they're not even listening to you most of the time. They're just doing other things. They're doing the research. They're doing the work, whatever it is. I don't care who if your target is CMOs. They're not sitting there waiting for this blast at them. They're not sitting there waiting to be tagged in an unrelated post on LinkedIn. They're doing other things. And it's just noise to them. It's just noise over here. And you're into my area right now. Okay, I don't know what's happening here, but you need to go. This is like my third of this slide. So the sales funnel is shifting, or has shifted for a long time. Okay, because where the information is being grabbed from is actually outside of the funnel. Okay, it's the sales cloud. It's the sales cloud to me because it's a lot of this. Most research is done before ever reaching out to you as a business selling in a B2B way. This is already gathered before reaching out to you. Okay, that's 60% of research for a B2B purchase is done before ever reaching out directly for contact with the brand. And 68% of purchasing decision makers in a B2B environment actually rather not talk to somebody at the company until they've made their final choice. Most people in sales don't want to hear this. But a lot of the content they're reading in the cloud can be created through those channels. Like the things listed here, okay? Conferences and white papers and word of mouth and videos and blogs, those all could be those sales enablement tools. Now, I don't know where the line is between what marketing is, the difference between marketing and sales enablement. Maybe it's just a fancy term. Cool. Whatever it is that creates curiosity, that drives interest, that's supposed to help. But this is happening outside of your funnel. Outside of it, okay? And then that's what pulls from it. It's a sales cloud, and we pull from those things. But every time we even get into your funnel, we're still in the sales cloud. Like you think you've got somebody in your funnel, you're like, all right, let's nurture them down. They could be in other funnels. They're already out in the cloud. You don't got them. It's not a baseball card. It's not need 'em, got 'em, need 'em, got 'em, got 'em, need 'em so you can meet a quota. It's not how this is supposed to work now. This is progress. This is progress from the day of people knocking on the door, selling vacuum cleaners or Tupperware or hairbrushes out of a suitcase. I understood door knocking then, and I understand it now depending on the business. If I ran a driveway paving company and they were in the neighborhood, knock on those doors and see who else wants that. Yes, works perfectly. Perfectly. Smart. But doing the same technique, doing the ABC, going Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross on their arse for always be closing so you can win the set of steak knives. It doesn't work like that now. It's getting that information into those sales clouds. That's what we're looking at. That's where we want to get to. So let me go to the next one here. And this is what we're doing. We're gatekeeping our content. We're gatekeeping a lot of that information, but this is the gate you're guarding. You're no longer the keepers of the information. You're no longer keepers of the content. And if you decide to not give up anything until I book a sales call with you, okay, this is what it looks like. One of the things that a sales funnel doesn't recognize is that trust gap. Okay, trust gap gets used by a lot of people, a lot of companies, with a lot of things. But this is the biggest block to me getting into that funnel. I should have made it a square. That's a real block. Like that still fits, right? Well, yeah, there's still, because trust gap isn't filled when I start getting into your funnel, so it still works. I'll figure it out. But that's blocking your message anyways. I don't trust noise. Now, it's different people for different things, but I don't trust the noise. And I can't get past that trust gap to even look at going into your funnel yet. This just came out from Edelman's 2021 Canadian Edelman Trust Barometer. Love it. Always love it. Some great people at Edelman. Shout out to Lisa out there and Dave. And I guess there's a lot of Lisas and Daves at Edelman. But you know who you are if you're watching. So what they had said was, and this is the Canadian version of it, that this is 29% of people in the public view CEOs as very extremely credible as a source of information about a company. And that's going down. And 39% of people said, how much do you trust CEOs to do what is right? What is right for everyone? 39%. So the majority thinks the CEOs also won't do what's right. We have a trust problem. We do, and we need to build that. And we can build that through a lot of ways. But one of the things about a trust gap and trying to shrink that gap down is going back and forth, the conversations, the non-threatening conversations, meaning call me now, here's my Calendly link, book it here. It's not how it always works. We have built in trust. So what happens if you haven't built the trust yet? And what happens if you have to start generating sales? You've built the product, or you have the service, or you're a salesperson, or you're a marketer, whatever that is, and you haven't yet built up that social currency like we've talked about on past lives. You haven't had the time to build your platform in certain areas, let's say on LinkedIn or with an audience or a newsletter. You don't have that yet. It takes a long time to invest your social currency, to build platforms. to build a newsletter. So what happens if you either don't have the time or the resources right now, or you want to look at other ways as well of doing things? Well, you can do it by borrowing social currency from others who have already invested theirs in audiences and in communities and on platforms. But you have to understand it's a loan. So when they loan you your social currency, you have to be able to do it right, and you treat it like gold. There's different ways to borrow from people's social currency. So we have here, we can offer people, hey, we want to give you a sponsorship. We want to borrow that from you. We can do a flat fee. We can do a product. We can make you an affiliate, or we can do a combination of any of those two or three or all three of these things, where you look and say, you have my audience, okay? You have my audience. And what are we going to do about that? Aaron, hey, Aaron, good to see you. Also, the fear of being sold to versus being informed keeps me from agreeing to a call. Well, that's exactly it, Aaron, because a lot of the times I'm going to pull that back up again. A lot of the times, this is a very important point, is that you say, we'd like to discuss and hear more about your company. You do not. I'm trying to be less absolute right now in my life. Every single message I've ever gotten, people say, I'd love to learn more about Unmarketing Inc., is lying to me. But I don't want to be absolute, so I'm going to say 99.9%. That's not absolute, right? You do not want to learn more about my company. What you want is me to get on a sales call with you. The worst thing you can do in a pitch to me right now is lie to me. I'll say it again. Integrity is not a renewable resource. And if a salesperson lies to you to get you on a call, how do you think the rest of that relationship is going to go with that business? The person doing outreach is setting the tone. Maybe they're doing outreach to book calls for somebody else. Maybe it's for themselves, whatever it is. And I know salespeople have a job, but your job shouldn't be to start off the potential relationship lying to me. Even this, tell me more about Unmarketing. No. How about you tell me what you know, other than I came up in a search on LinkedIn? When you think your product is a solution to everybody's problems, you're going with blinders on. It doesn't work that way for a lot of things. So if you want to partner, one of the ways is doing that is a sponsorship, or you're paying, and you can do it in any of these ways. Okay, these are a couple of ways, but you can also do things that's not necessarily sponsorship, but you can do a list swap, you can do share groups, you can joint ventures. So this is a lot of things where I can promote something to my subscribers, you promote something of mine to your subscribers. You can make that an affiliate thing, where if I promoted something and I disclosed it and put it out there and sent it, and then you do it to your list, but we also do an affiliate thing. So whoever's list does better, that person can benefit from it. Okay, I used to do list swaps if it made sense. Hey, I love your stuff. You love my stuff. How about we cross promote? It's cross promotion. That's really what it is. But we call it list swapping back in the day. Okay, that's the biggest difference is those two things. So let's talk about influencers for a second. And the term influencer. So I want to talk about the term influencers before getting into working with influencers and sponsorship and how to take it up, because there is a secret step to a lot of these things to me. And I hesitate to call it secret because it sounds like clickbait, but it's a step that gets missed almost every single time. But about influencers, I need to talk about the term first. So the issue is, I have found, and this is just passively, I haven't done any scientific research on this, nor can I. I don't think I'm capable of that. But what I have seen out there, when you use the term influencer, a lot of the people that I know that use it in like a derogatory way. They're like, ugh, influencers. It's used more now than the term millennials, maybe because the millennials, are aging out of the bitterness of us looking at them, and now they're joining our ranks. Whatever it is. But they say influence. And I've seen like people who are then deem themselves creators. So especially things on like YouTube or podcasters even, because there's a whole undercurrent in podcasting, which is like an old guard and a new guard, and it's just gatekeeping a whole bunch of stuff as well. But the term influencer, and Karina says this too, which is I hate the term. And this is the thing. So the term Because the reason why it gets under my skin is not because the people doing the influence. It's what we have the connotations with it. Because I'm an influencer, right? Isn't that what it is? Isn't that what influence comes down to? Right? This is like, but we want to crap on them, especially when they're younger. Like we literally are just, look. Please stop crapping in community confetti. It doesn't matter what the term is. If people are enjoying something, maybe they're taking a picture of their food. What's it to you? Well, you don't like because they're getting sponsorships or this, and you didn't get that? It's got nothing to do with them. It's got nothing to do with them. Okay? It's a very basic thing, but we gatekeep this. We gatekeep content creation. You have creators on YouTube saying, "Oh, those influencers, what do they even know?" And they're just on TikTok. They're TikTok. They're not creators. They're not on YouTube. Look, it's all a ton of work. Creators work their ass off on YouTube making the videos. Influencers on TikTok also work their ass off. This isn't a zero sum thing. Sorry, this isn't this ridiculousness of, well, I work, but not them. I do. There's enough working your ass off to go around. This should be alliances and crossovers and influencers on TikTok or back, from Vine, then move to YouTube, then move to here. This bitterness, which is a lot of time is envy, is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me. An influencer is a very simple thing to me. It's someone who has influence over an audience or community. That's it. That's it. Yeah, so it's the capital I in influencer. That's the one that gets under people's skin, not the thing itself. But yeah, but does it, Michael? I know what you're saying. I do. I know what you're saying right now with this. But we got no problem of somebody calling themselves, a chief officer of this or this or this, when it's not true. Or the president of their corporation, which is one person. Like, we pick and choose terms. What do people use, creator with a capital C? That's how it works. Sorry, I got to bring up some comments here. What's up, Abaseki Scott? Didn't know you were starting earlier today. I know what happened. It was daylight savings on the weekend. So here we have daylight savings, so the clocks move. We go spring forward, fall back. So we move the clocks forward an hour. So apologies for that. That's our friend in Nepal. So I apologize. Stays up like till midnight watching these things. My apologies for that. This is a great point too. I'm actually going to bring this up on the main screen. Karina says, for me, the problem is coming from my journalism background. Initially, I was annoyed with the lack of integrity of many, if not all, influencers. There wasn't a lot of transparency about what was paid for or gifted. Okay, now we can talk about this. Okay, first of all, Karina, it is atrocious. People that are acting as reporters or journalists to get scoops and putting out there without using the journalistic practices and integrity and ethics that you get both from school and from experience. I do have a problem somebody calling themselves that without actually being one. Journalism is an art and a science, and journalism is what we need now more than ever, especially local journalism to me. And so any of that doing it, I hear you. It's the transparency part. Okay, but that's it. So we lump that in, though. We lump in the influencer with lack of transparency, and that's not influencers. That's people being, unethical potentially. And I don't always blame the person or the influencer about being ethical. Let's get back into that because it's actually in this. It's coming up right here. I also got to make sure I watch the comments here too. Yay, I can sleep early. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I can move this back earlier if it helps you get sleep. Or don't worry, I'll do one special for you as well. Chloe says, working with people who have more influence and better relationships with your target audience than you do is one of the most powerful ways you can talk to your audience. Yeah, exactly. We have to just do it right. And this is it, Aaron. We've moved to creator. Yeah, because of what we said with influencer. And we're doing that. We're doing that. Angela says, when people ask for influencers, it too often means go get some people to make this easy for us, throw some money at them. It's just not like that. There's a lack of understanding among some brands who are asking for them. They want magic, and it's not magic. Thank you. There is no just. Can we just say that? And thank you for that, Angela. There is no just in anything. You want to work with influencers or sponsorship or partnership. It's work, research, effort, and persistence. And the success is luck, timing, knowledge, skill, all rolled into one. And we'll talk about campaigns today. So if you're still here, stick with me. We're going to do some case studies of stuff that we were involved with today. Now, I'm still allowed to crap in confetti when things like this happened. So you do have to be careful because there's, things that might go wrong. So this isn't me. This is Scott Disick, I believe he's from the Kardashian crew. So this is Boo Tea Shake. And the reason why I am calling this out is because I don't like people promoting laxatives that can really hurt people and telling them they have to crap out their weight because they're not thin enough. This really gets to me, so I got no problem bringing this one up. But this is also funny, too. So this is Boo Tea Shake. So it's Bootea. Get it? Because it's booty. Like, did you get the joke? It's their bum. So they're making this thing, and they're like, okay, Scott, what you're going to do is you're going to pretend you use this all the time, and this is part of your regular routine, blah, 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 blah. So they write at this time, Eastern Standard Time, please post the following. Like, you got to handhold to a lot of people sometimes. You got to make them clear as possible. That's great for everything, by the way. Any type of clarification would be a great idea. Really good to do. And so he posts, here you go, at 4 p.m. Eastern, write the below caption, keeping up with my summer workout routine with my morning booty shake. I love it. Makes me very, very happy. But I am crapping on Scott for this, but I don't crap in general about what the Kardashians have or have done or anything else. Don't crap on their confetti. Don't do it that way, right? It needs to be able to work in a way that, look, let them go get it. Let them go get theirs. Does it affect you? What does it have to do with you? Disclosure. Let's get back to this because this is an important point, and Karina brought it up as well. This is really important. We need to make sure we disclose. Always. Okay? And here we look at it. Who's responsible? Okay, so let's say you are part of a brand and you have an agency, and then they're going to get the influencer to do the work with you, okay? And who is responsible here? Is it the influencer themselves? Is it the brand? Or is it the agency? Yes. It's everybody's responsibility. And I people ask, well, yeah, but what's the law? What is the FCC, FTC, ABC, CNN, CBC? What do they say? And I say this. If we look at the law to see what's ethical, we've already lost the point. I've said this almost every week, I think, and I'll continue to say it to you. It's what's right. I was reading an article on this. Fashion is a big industry for this, about not disclosing these type of things. And one of the person who manages influencers, he says, well, the problem with putting like a hashtag sponsored or a hashtag ad or hashtag partnership or whatever it is, or using the tag that now Instagram allows you and YouTube shows paid partnership, they said, well, the problem is it actually lowers our engagement, so we don't put it. It lowers our engagement. Disclosing that we have a financial relationship with the product's company hurts our engagement, so we choose not to include it. Stop it. They engage less because it's a commercial. Yes, that's how it's supposed to work. Don, CBC says we don't have the budget to investigate that story. Funny thing, Don, we did a whole hour with CBC a couple of years ago about ethics because we saw Fiverr. We paid on Fiverr to have a bunch of people review our book that hadn't come out yet, just to show you could just pay for testimonials, and then CBC saw it. So that's the great thing. I'll play the video on one of these lives as well. It's awesome. Okay, so let me go back to what I was doing. It just gets to me too much. So here's about this is why about response. So before people say, well, what people on commercials on TV don't disclose it. There's no thing saying ad. Yeah, it's a commercial. We didn't have to disclose a commercial on TV during a commercial break because it was a commercial break. So we don't have to disclose that. But now we get content from so many places. Does a regular, normal, everyday consumer know? Can they distinguish between paid content versus that's also money or product or not? Well, the one way to be sure is to disclose it. Love it. There was Amber Mack, wonderful human and speaker and tech authority in Canada and the world, has her newsletter. I believe a friend Ron Tite had pointed this out in LinkedIn, I believe, and I apologize if it wasn't Ron, where she did a paid placement for a company. I believe it was .ca. It was so the Canadian Domain Authority here. And she said, this is a sponsored post. All opinions are my own. Right at the top. And I'm like, damn, I want to read this. It's good. We rarely do affiliate things, but when we do, we usually do 2 links. We do that with a lot of times with books and products and things, where we will do 2 links. And we'll put link 1 and in brackets affiliate link. If you purchase from this, we get a few shekels. But we believe in this product so much. Here is an unaffiliate link. Because it's un. And you can just click without giving us. But then I just put a picture of me like right underneath. I should, and just going like, please. For only 30 clicks a day, you can help this family of 7. Please click the affiliate link. And you can make it part of your brand, really. You can make it part of your brand that way. Make it work with your voice. When you are your authentic self, you have no competition. But this is where I want to give you the secret. Okay, this is why a lot of the programs worked. And I'm going to show you the ones we were involved in, but I'm not trying to say since we were involved with them, they worked. I want to show you why we worked extra hard for them, for the programs. And this is going to be the difference between this. I want to, before I do, bring in Karina's comment here. Even with disclosure, I think a lot of people have trouble telling the difference. I know because I've had family members share ads and say, looks like an article. Yeah, look at this article. Well, and I bet this is also getting the journalism stuff really up, right on the back of your neck, right? Because it's like that advertorial type of stuff. You're supposed to separate editorial. You're supposed to separate journalism, from the ad side of things. It's supposed to be just, yeah, I know. Let's get into this. The clickbait secret ingredient to sponsorships and partnerships and influencer marketing. And this is going to be what we're going to talk about today. So usually this is how it would go in a campaign. This is very much simplifying things, but this is pretty much the structure of it. If we're going to use influencers, sponsorship, that type of stuff, let's research. Then we're going to select some people. We figure out that process. We do the campaign. Then we analyze. But the difference, the secret here is that step after the campaign. And it's the Encore. Okay, and we're going to talk about the Encore today and how that works and why it worked for us so much. So we're going to get into this. So let's talk about Tassimo. Good old Tassimo. The single cup brewing system of coffee that we have here. I understand about the discs. I understand. Single brewing system. So this is one of the things that was coming into Canada. And one of the hardest things to do, especially for a lot of products to me, is breaking those habitual products. You know, it's like anything from coffee to hair products, from manscaping products, to even more restrictive, like changing banks or things like that. So it's either locked in or habitual is really hard, right? And for me, it's like Spotify. I listen to the same playlists and these type of things. So breaking through the categories is hard. And I don't know if there's a tougher habit in everyday life for most humans or a lot of humans than caffeine. And you're going to break that habit. And especially trying to come into Canada. And this is when Kraft Foods, who own the rights to Tassimo in Canada, were coming into the country. And we want to break into the coffee conversation of the country. And this country is very coffee focused. They're very loyal, especially to the Tim Hortons brand here. So how are you going to break that? Like, I used to go out and drive and pick up coffee. That's how lazy I was. I don't think I've owned a coffee pot, a classic one, in a very long time. I just didn't make coffee at home. I was on the road a lot, going around, and it just wasn't really a main thing. And then this was coming. So let's bring you into the campaign. I want to give you a little background on the campaign first. Okay, they had a very tight budget. Okay, so much so, Dury, who ran this campaign, and we'll get into Dury momentarily, got him to waive the classical traditional media spend. They didn't have a lot for that anyways. And they were going to get influencers, but it wasn't going to be paid, which is hard as well. It's a hurdle. And their goal was a 4% share of the coffee conversation. Okay? So that's where they went out. So they have to be able to go and say, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? How do we break into this market? So they started doing their research. They wanted to find influential Canadians who were on Twitter, and they had mentioned coffee. That's what they put into their software. That's what they put into their search. They were using, I believe, Radian 6 at the time, which is a Canadian company. What's up again? East Coast Maritimes. And they were deciding, okay, this is what we want to find. And one of the people they found was me. I'm Canadian. I was influential on Twitter. I'm not sure how much now. And I like coffee. And I think I tweeted about it a few times. So I'm in the running. Now, however, what they have to do here is figure out a way to not only get to me, but convince me to do this without paying me. Now, this is early on. This is probably 2010, 2011, and some people may be watching back in the day remember this, but this was early on. Yay. Our East Coaster in the audience loved Radiant 6 back in the day. Awesome. So this is really actually a harder part, is how do you get through the door? And a lot of the times, this is where places that reach out to us now really fall short. We've only done a handful ever of campaigns over a decade of our reach and our influence in our platform, because we rarely do them, because a couple of things. One, research is barely done at all, and the offer is crap. Like now, especially when we built the platform, we have agents. I swear, every week we have an agency reach out to us here saying, we'd love you to promote our product. Yeah. I'm sure you'd love everybody to promote your product. Why would you say, I know. Why would I do it? Or why would you do it? These blanket ways of PR, of just this outreach type of stuff and cookie cutter is not the way. This shouldn't be a shotgun approach. This shouldn't be that push and pray. It should be targeted and focused. And that's what Dury did. He had to get through my assistant and then get to me and convince this really stubborn guy to do something like this and use my platform, my audience that I hold very dear to my heart for no pay. For no pay. Exactly. And so did the research. And Dury wrote a great email. Hey, Scott, love what you do. Love this. Loved especially these 2 blog posts. And brought them in. So they're flattering. I'm like, go on. No, go on. Keep saying. We thought you'd be a great fit for this. Tassimo is coming to Canada. And we'd love to send you a gift set of a machine and a bunch of flavors to try. And if you like it, we'd love you to tweet about it. It's up to you. If you don't like it, we'd prefer you not to tweet about it. But it's your call. We just love to send it to you. And we love your tweets. I'm like, damn. Yep. Send it to me. I need to make something very clear right now. It is one of the only times in the past since we've had a platform like this. So 11 years. Excuse me. In 11 years, have we ever got an email like this? Do you know how many chances people have to write like this, to do this? It is so simple. Target. And then personalize. And I'm not talking about a merge field. Insert first name, insert blog name, insert latest post. I mean, really. Yeah, I appreciate that. If I told you, if I 15 years ago that I would be on a live broadcast and I sneezed outside of Toronto, Ontario, that somebody from Kathmandu would say, God bless you to me, who's also a fan of our book that came out. It's so cool. Sorry, back to the rant. But thank you, bye. Have a sec. You made me feel good about as I was getting angry and the other pair of Jackass Whisperer socks are going to go to you. If you want them, by the way. Send me a message. We will mail them to Nepal and you'll have a pair. As long as you send us a picture of you wearing them. That would be cool. Anyway, this is the only time that we got in like emails like this. It's so simple. It's so, and thank you, Michael, for that flattery and then fixing your spelling. But this is it. It's personalized. I looked at it and like, well done. Yeah. And I just turned around and said, I'm your Huckleberry. Yeah. Send it. I made no promises, nor did he ask for promises. If you're not paying somebody, be very careful about demanding anything from them. And also, can you just pay influencers? Please? Offer pay for sponsorship? Especially if you're a bigger brand. It may be a line item in a budget to you, but it may be rent to them. It could be food to them. If you can pay, do, and pay well. I just read an article yesterday that especially last year, during the height of brands making their profile with the black box on it and putting the Black Lives Matter hashtag, that they paid black influencers significantly less than white. Stop it. Stop it. Value people, value influencers, and they will work incredibly hard for you. And that's not even the Encore I'm talking about today. You want influencers to work harder for you or to work for you? Value them. And if they don't value you, then don't use them anymore. You find them, and when they're good, they come back because we've done multiple campaigns because of this one. So, we got it. They sent it to us. We did the campaign. They did their homework. They did clear guidance and follow-up. So they said, great. They sent us the thing. I got it. Full thing. All the flavors. Awesome. Took a photo. Very excited and loved it. It was great. It was great. It was so good. It worked great. But here's the difference. It's the Encore. I put it out there. I put it out there I tweeted about it. So excited. I get an email again from Dury with the follow-up, okay? And said, thank you so much, Scott. We're so glad you love the machine. Also, other people. It wasn't just me, by the way. It was a bunch of us in Canada that got them. And so we're all tweeting, right? It was doing it all at the same time. But they didn't say only tweet between this date and this date. They're like, because they're not paying too, they can't also be overly demanding. And then they did the Encore. And it was this Encore that made the difference in the campaign. So he wrote and said, thank you so much, Scott, for your tweets. That mean a lot to me and the client. Here's the Encore. We want you to pick 10 friends or family that are also on Twitter, and we'll send them a machine on your behalf. And this is in November. It's like Christmas. I am the Oprah of Tassimo machines. You get a Tassimo. You get a Tassimo. Everybody gets a... Ma! Go get a Twitter account. I want to send you a Tassimo. Merry Christmas. And it went... Poof. And it went banana cakes on there. Bananas. The original share of coffee conversation they had was 0.04. Their goal was to have 4% of the Canadian coffee conversation, and they resulted in 12%. Plateau, 12%, not spike, plateau for the month afterwards. That's a heck of a campaign. But that worked for two main reasons: the Encore move and Dury. He was the one that convinced the clients this is what we want to do. He had to put his neck out to say this will work versus doing the same thing as everybody else and kind of throwing away money. Not all media spends throwing it away, but a lot of it is. Because we still don't know what part works. I'm going to bring in a couple of the comments and questions because it's live. Thank you. Thank you very much. Must be a doozy of a hand. Yeah. Wonder if good to thank you, Michael. Thank you for coming. Tabitha says, I look at not paying people to be an influencer of your product the same was as unpaid interns. There was a reason I told my students not to do unpaid internships. Know your worth. Thank you. And look, if somebody offers you product or something and you like it, then do it. Okay. Depends on the value. The whole point of this is the value seen in the eye of the person who's going to do the work. So when Tassimo framed it the way they did, I'm like, yep, I'll do that. There's no condition for me having to put content out. You just want to, you believe in your product so much, you're willing to send it to me and not force me to talk about it. That shows confidence in a product. I'm good to go. We did a campaign with Rogers, which is the telecommunications companies and cable companies here in Canada, that wanted to promote their Roam Like Home, which is like roaming data from Canada to like the US. And if somebody's traveled a lot, Canadian roaming charges are ridiculous. One of the highest in the world when it comes to all these things. And so they had a new program. So they came to us and said, hey, here's the campaign. They were not going to pay us. And this is only a few years ago when we had really built things up and the books and everything else. And I'm like, you know, a multi-giant one is not going to, I'm like, what? And they're like, we know you have a family. We'd like you to send the whole family. Now I'm like, now you're talking. There's 7 of us. And we like to send you to anywhere in the continental United States for an all expenses paid trip. And I'm like, ooh, now I'm really your huckleberry. And we did, and we went. Did I even bring it in? I don't think I did. I think I have a photo here of it somewhere. Hang on a second. Like I said, work in progress. All this stuff, work in progress. Oh, I found one of the Tassimo things. And this wasn't even the campaign. It's a couple years later when my Tassimo broke, and they just sent me a new one. So that was cool of them. I think I have the one I'm looking for here. Where are you? If I can't find it, I'll get out of here. All right, I can't find it. It's okay. But this was the big thing. So they kept on the coffee conversation, which was amazing. I want to get a few more of these questions. Sorry. Aaron says, and as an agency, what would you charge a client for your ad work, right? So pay the influencers who are doing the same creative work. Exactly. That there's value to these people. A huge value, and matching the right personality with the brand and product. Exactly. It's not finding people with the most influence in your market. And sometimes the person with the most influence is the hardest to deal with. Sometimes that's not a direct causation, or everybody's going after them. And you can give me whatever term you want we're coming up with today. Micro-influencers, nano-influencers. It's just, look, it's your audience. Who has influence over your audience? And then, like Abhishek said here, and then finding the people who are influencers that complement the voice of your brand. Okay, I'm going to talk about one of them today as well, with that has the voice that worked really well versus brands just kind of saying, well, you have influence here, and it doesn't work. That's an important match. It's a very important point. It's all right, Karina, it'll be recorded. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the comments and the questions. Really appreciate that. Well, yeah, and that's it. So it is as long, and it's value, right? If you're both, it's like bartering, right? Tabitha, it's like bartering too. A barter, I love bartering. It's my first logo, my first site, everything was done through barter because they didn't have money, but there was value both ways, and it was the value of the receiver of that. But I had somebody once saying, hey, I'd love for your marketing consulting, and in return, I'm going to make you a tea cozy, which is fine. I have nothing personally against tea cozies, you know, the knitted things you can put over your teapot. I just don't require one, nor do I want one. So there wasn't a value. I once also did a barter with somebody, and it was a barter for they did design. This is long time ago. This has got to be almost 20 years ago. I did a barter for like some design stuff, and I would do consulting. So I consulted and helped, but the design wasn't being finished. And I wrote him like, hey, do we have a timeline for this? And the person wrote back and said, sorry, Scott, paid clients come first. Nope. If you're doing a favor, yes. And then you clearly communicate, hey, this work comes first, but I can do it when I have time to do it. But if it's a barter, which is a mutual exchange of value, it's the same as being paid. That's how you have to look at it. If you're going to barter something with somebody, you have to honor it. You have to honor that barter of the value of things as well. So let's get into Influencer Encore 2 Electric Boogaloo and how this worked. I'll be brief with this one. We're still fleshing out the slides and the story for it. But so Dury comes back a year, 2 years later and says, hey, Scott, I got another campaign for you. And I'm like, all right, man, you've already proven yourself. But again, if he doesn't match it right, then if you remember what I said about brand, it's the most extreme experience and the most recent experience. We're always branding. We're always building or hurting relationships when we're talking with people who are trying to use them. So he decides, no, we want to do another thing. Magnum Ice Cream's coming into Canada. We want you to be one of the people. And so they came in and they're like, hey, I'll show you here. They have a budget. They're doing a media spend and it's paid to me. But they still took it up a notch. So let me tell you the story here of Magnum, and I'll give you all the goods behind the scenes here. Magnum Ice Cream came, Dury came to me for the client for Magnum and said, so we want to do, here's a few things. So we'd like to pay you something about around the lines of $30,000 to help promote Magnum Ice Cream in your channel. So here's the requirements. We're going to require you to make a video about it. We're going to require some tweets. And we're going to require an appearance at a launch party at a club in Toronto. And I'm like, you want to pay me $30,000 plus free ice cream to tweet, make a video, and then hang out at a club with more ice cream? How much do you want me to pay you? Oh, you're going to pay me. Oh, I'm like, yeah, of course. Except I wasn't going to blog about it. And I was very insistent on this. I was not going to blog about it. We are not putting a Magnum ice cream post on our blog because it makes no sense. It made no sense for our brand. It made no sense for really for anything we were doing. We were not going to do that. So he's like, don't worry. I talked to the client. They know. And I'm like, all right. I don't know what I'm going to do in a video, but sure, I'm happy to throw it up on Facebook to mention we promoted it. Of course, and I'll disclose it. So we get a bunch of the ice cream, and it's decadent and delicious. You know, Magnum's great. They're not paying me anymore, but it's really good. I really like it. It's real nice, real rich. And they brought me and a few other people who were influential here, and they also brought in one of the, I believe it was Ivana Trump. It was Donald Trump's ex-wife, as far as I know, and maybe his daughter as well. This is before all this stuff. But it was back when people were like, hey, this is, wealthy. And so they hired her as a main celebrity spokesperson because it was about the decadence of things. And I'm a lot of things, but decadent may not be one of them. So I put it out there, and I'm one of the influencers they brought on. But this is before they called it influencers. Remember, no blog post, though. I'm standing my ground. So you go, get the ice cream, get the money, eat it, awesome. Go, tweet, gets out there, starts getting out there more. I head to the club in Toronto. They almost don't let me in because of what I'm wearing. I was just wearing a sweater and my jeans, and I was like, what? It's 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., and I'm here for an ice cream party. Relax, bouncer. They almost didn't let me in. I'm like, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Please don't let me in. I'd love to tweet about this because I want content. It's fine. Then they got in and we hung out, and it was kind of a little bit awkward and stuff, but well, whatever. I was getting paid to eat ice cream. Everybody's dream, right? So we go out there. We head out. I get it. Everything else. Awesome. And then I'm like, wait, I got to make a video. What am I going to do in my style and my voice? And I got it out. I figured it out. One of their bars was double chocolate. One of the ones I really liked. And it had a couple layers of chocolate. So I made a video. And the headline of the video was Magnum Ice Cream False Advertising. That was the banner on the video. And in the video, I've got the ice cream bar and I'm eating it. And I'm like, hey, Magnum paid me to promote this ice cream bar. But you all know, because of my marketing, we are about ethics as well and disclosure. And it's false advertising. It's not double chocolate. It's actually quadruple chocolate. It's quad chocolate. Then I held the ice cream bar up to it and pointed the layers of chocolate. I'm like, just disclose this stuff, people. Disclose how many layers of chocolate. And then I ended the video. I had fun. It did okay. Dury said that when they showed it to the client in the boardroom, they nearly crapped themselves when they first saw it. Mission accomplished. But here's where they did the encore. This is what made it different. Dury sends me a text a few weeks later, I think. It says, hey, and he actually lived in Oakville, in the town where we're in here. It's like, hey, can I drop by your place? And I'm like, are you gonna beat me up? Like, are you gonna what's that? He's like, no, I got something for you. It's amazing. I'm like, okay. And he drives over. He's like, hey, Magnum people loved your video, and I can't believe they did this, but they made you your own box of Scott Stratton's quadruple chocolate ice cream. It's a full box. It's a printed, pressed, everything else. Do I have it down here? No, it's upstairs. It's upstairs in a case. I was so impressed by it. So they showed up with this. Let's see if I can pull it down a bit. No, I won't pull it. I'll pull it over here. So they show up with this. And you know what I did? The one thing I said I wouldn't do. I wrote a blog post about it. The one thing I said I wouldn't do, because he gave me something to talk about. It's not about getting influencers or this or they're not doing it. What can you do when you give the influencer your sponsorship, your partnership, the things, and they do it? How do you then go back for the encore? And here's one of the killer parts. I was done my contractual obligations. I did the tweets. I did the video. I showed up to the party. I ate the ice cream, cashed the check. Finite. Done. Finished. And they show up with this. Sorry. this box. And then I went back and did more for no extra pay. That's the Encore to me. It's for no extra pay. So we can heighten things even more. Or if it's ongoing, if we heighten them, they're more excited to be part of the brand. Sponsoring an individual or an influencer or partnering brands or whatever that is should not be transactional. It should be a relationship. It should be, what else can we do? What else can we do to heighten this more? If you're borrowing that social currency from somebody, you need to be able to up it. You need to be able to up it somehow. And that's Dury right there, who's now the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at Moneris, which is payment processing, one of the big ones. Formerly the Senior Partner at Ogilvy One Worldwide, which is where he did these campaigns. So if you know Dury, tell him Scott says, what's up? He's also on LinkedIn. Why aren't you watching this right now, Dury? Maybe you are. I don't know. But that's what I'm talking about with the Encore. Okay, your campaign isn't over when it's over. But if you want to be an influencer, if you're looking to do this yourself or get sponsorship for your stuff, be careful though too. There's some kind of caveats here I want to be able to go over that we've seen or experienced and where it goes. So this is kind of like the influencer to life cycle. And I don't mean influencer by just people where you might be thinking influencer. This is the sponsorship life. This is the individual. This is the personal branded individual type of thing. And you're going, they have a blog, they have tweets, whatever. They're building this audience. So what happens when we build an audience, okay? When we build a platform with an audience, this is what happens. When we first start, we have no audience, we have no revenue, but we can be pretty authentic. We're testing the waters. And as we start building, we become more authentic usually, right? It's more about us. It's more, they're liking this. I can be more me. I can be more whatever I'm doing. And it starts growing. And then the revenue comes. And the sponsors start coming and saying, hey, instead of losing money, how about we give you some? And you're like, cool. And somebody offers you $50, whatever, to do a paid thing or whatever. It could be, and this could be podcasting. It can be blog. It can be TikTok. It can be anything. It can be Clubhouse. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you're like, oh, cool. I'm making some money. All right. I can pay the hosting fees for this, or I can pay for the podcast hosting fees I have with the site or whatever. It's like, oh, cool, I'm making some money. I can actually do this. And so you keep going, you keep ramping up, and then you start getting bigger sponsors. And then you start getting more conditioned with your sponsorships. And then you start realizing, I only want to say good things because I want to get more good sponsors. So sometimes some people, this isn't everybody, but sometimes some people start being a little less transparent on things and a little more everything about these products or places or services are great. Or I'm still going to be authentic, but here's the pros and cons. But the cons aren't really cons. Because it's like, well, this service doesn't offer this, but I hear it's in the pipeline. So you soften it a bit, and it's fine. You do whatever you want. You grow whatever way you want. You start, I'm trying to change the way I communicate. I'm trying to be less absolute in things. But this is what happens sometimes. And since you want to attract more sponsors, you're more sponsor friendly. And the more sponsor friendly you are, sometimes the less audience friendly you are, and the less authentic you are for sure. And what happens here is you start losing the authenticity. You might still keep growing an audience, but here's the trick. You're losing your actual audience. The ones who got you there. It's kind of like this too with bands and musicians, right? It's where the sellout happens. And look, I don't never call a band a sellout anymore. I don't recognize Metallica's collection after I'd say Load, I think. Black Album for sure. But anyway, but it's not selling. It's their choice. I've just lost my interest in the music after. Although I do like Saint Anger. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted again. But this is the thing. This is where you like the money and the promise of more money and growing money more than the reasons why your original audience was there. And this is what we want to be very careful with the show, is not lose this, right? And see, and Mark's in. Like, Mark, yeah, I will give it to, I'll give it to Saint Anger. Great song. Great. Almost went me back to like kind of like Ride the Lightning days almost, but also much tighter. Great video. The one they did in San Quentin as well, like that. So this is where you have to be careful of. This is that dip you don't necessarily want. And a lot of people think, well, this is the only way I'm going to make those things. And well, not really. What does make it mean? I think make it means is being authentic as we can with our stuff, staying true within certain parameters of our own authenticity and growing that, and then being able to say, no, we won't do that sponsorship. Yes, we'll do that. That can be a goal, but you don't want to lose that authentic audience when you've gotten them. Okay, we've had that we did that with the show, actually. And I'm going to talk today a little bit about Emma, though. Yeah, I know. Lars, I don't understand how he's a drummer. I don't understand. Anyway, sorry. So let's talk about the show and the podcast, and because we're also hypersensitive to these type of things because we talk about these type of things, and the last thing we want to be is a topic on our own show. It would just be weird. So what happened with the podcast? So once we didn't start the show to make revenue. We didn't start the show to get advertisers or ads. What we started the show was because Alice and I love talking to each other about these topics, and we wanted to put a mic in front of it, and it would help keep us in front of our audience, right? Pull and stay. And hopefully when keynotes happened or books came out, we could also talk about those. But we just love talking about these topics. Just like I'm doing now. How long are we into this thing? Like 1 hour and 20 minutes into this. And like just talking about these type of things is how I work through stuff. And the nice thing about doing the show is we kept us on top of trending topics in the industry, which kept us on top of trending topics for the industry. That's the thing. So we start the show, and I want to talk about how we went from Emma email sponsoring our show to just being a podcast sponsor to a partner. That everything we did was represented by Emma, and how it went that way. So we can talk about this for a second. So with the Unpodcast, we put it out there. We didn't put out an ad rate sheet or anything else. We put out for sponsors. So we did the show. Okay. We did the show for a couple years. And I think we got to over 100 episodes at least. And we decided we got a note from, we get all the time, hey, do you want to join our podcast network? And we just ignore that type of stuff. Mostly because it's a land grab and whatever. And they're usually like, hey, pay us and you keep part of our network. And we're like, no, thanks. I don't care if we had 7 listeners or 7,000 or 700,000. It's just like, we're going to do it on our terms. That's why we're doing this. And from episode 1, we got a studio. We had it filmed. We had an audio engineer. So we had Wayne doing the audio. What's up, Wayne? And Adam and his team at Atomic Spark doing video. And we just want to do it right from episode 1. We put it out there, and it cost money, but it was a marketing expense for us. We wanted to make it look like we knew what we were doing from the first show when we didn't know what we were doing and figuring it out. And we put it out there. So anyways, CBS had reached out to us and said, we have a new podcast network going on, and we'd like for you to join. And I'm like, and I kind of ignored it, right? I kind of ignored it. And because I'm just like, hey, look, because we get them, especially at that time, we're getting them all the time. And I'm like, so I wrote back eventually after the second email, and I'm like, how much is this going to cost? And thank you, Mark, for being one of the original 7 of the show. It will be back. We're not sure when yet, but we will do when the time is right. And, I can get the Magnum chocolate off there too. Sorry. Whoops. So this is the CBS says, I said, okay, well, what are you charging for this? And he's like, oh, no, we're not charging. We love the show. I'm like, oh, you actually listen to it. We love the show. We'd like you to join the network, and we have an ad team at CBS. They'd sell it, and we split it. And there's a certain percentage for whoever got it. So if we got the advertiser, they did. We got a 10%, and then we'd split the last 90, 2 ways, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly. I'm like, oh, okay. So we said yes, and then we put it out a graphic on podcast now with CBS, and then we got in trouble for that because they're like, don't put the CBS logo on there. It's actually play.it. And I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Please don't make me say that. It's like, it's a new network. Use that logo. I'm like, okay. But what it did was it gave us a rate card. Okay, and it gave us a rate card because with sponsorships, we had no idea what to charge. Yeah, I could look at the CPM, I could look at the rates of what, but like we're not doing, it's the On podcast. We're not doing the same thing. We're not looking for 6 different live reads in a show or not. We just look, when it fits, it fits. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But if somebody came to us and said, how much to sponsor the whole show? I'd be like, got it at $7 a year. Is that too high? I'm still not good at that. I don't know. It's like, how long is a piece of string? I'm just like, well, what's your budget? Trying to throw it back to them. But we knew we wanted to get good people. So CBS went and found, we got some people. So we had one that came in, and it was a printing company that makes, business cards and things. And it was one that I used, one of the original kind of ones. And they came and said, hey, would you, CBS came to us and said, we found somebody. Here's a brand. It's a well-known, online printing company. You can get like 500 business cards free. And I'm like, hey, that's who I used too for my first business cards years ago. I'd love to do that. And we would do a live read and we'd work it into our voice. That was important. So we did that. Halfway through the episode, I'm like, hey, I told the story of my first business cards and how, and now they're sponsoring the episode, use code blah, 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 blah. And the show came out the following Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and like 9:20, I get an email from the person, the rep, and they're like, hey, Vistaprint really isn't excited about the response so far. So could you move the next one to the front of the show? The podcast had been out for 20 minutes. We said their ad 15 minutes into the show. So their ad had been read if you had downloaded the show instantaneously when it came out and started listening to it immediately. You may have heard the ad. And they're doing like direct response, like live radio. Which is not, but I understood because that's where people were coming from with CBS. They're coming from that traditional media. And they paid us literally like we were going to make $45 on this live read. And I said, oh, we won't be doing it near the start of the show next time. They're like, oh, so what's your plan? Oh, we won't be doing it next show. Thank you. Nope. Not doing that. Not playing that game. Not going to happen. So back in here, what they did do though is gave us a rate sheet, because what happened was we were doing the show, signed with CBS, here we go, and we're looking for a platinum sponsor. And then Emma reaches out, Cynthia from Emma, Cynthia Peters, who's wonderful, who's at Litmus now, who's one of our favorite humans. She's great. Reached out and said, hey, do you guys take sponsorship? And if I didn't have CBS, I wouldn't know. But they showed us, right? This is kind of a rate card. It was $150,000 to be a platform presenting sponsorship. And where they brought that value is because they threw a lot of their, co-branded media drivers and stuff, like 1 million banners and all that type of thing, which has value to it for sure. I get that. And they were going to be the presenting sponsor. Okay, not a show sponsor, but a presenting sponsor. And this is how they're going to sell it. So we said, this is okay. So they came back and said, can we pay it monthly? And we'd throw in a keynote for their event. Good to go. And we did. And now we have a sponsor. But I looked at that. And I'm like, no, I don't want them to be the sponsor and then not having the point of saying that here's some other people too. They locked in for a year with us. They said, we love the show. Plus, we love the show. We want you to keep doing you. Keep doing your voice. They let us do live reads that were kind of ridiculous, right? They're kind of silly. I think I got one here, actually. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find it. I can play it for you here. Yeah, here's one. Let me see. I can bring it up on the screen here for you. See if I can play you one of the live reads here. I might have to fast forward it, but let me show you. No, I didn't grab the audio from it. Sorry, my bad. So what they would let us do these live reads. Okay, they'd let us do these things, which was like, and the person was fired. You know who we're not going to fire today? Emma. And we brought up Emma, and we'd bring it up, and it would work, and it would be awesome. It just worked really well. And then they kept working with us. Like every time we did something, it was incredible. And we just kept starting to one-up each other. So it went from being the main sponsor to said, forget it, you're going to be the only sponsor. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this for you. And we're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this for you. And it was Encore, Encore, Encore. And it just kept going up and up and up. Oh, this is not the one I wanted to show you. Sorry. I'm going to show you that in a second. But it went from, like I said, this to this. So it went from, if you look at them in their shirts here, They're all wearing Emma as one of the 7 because we always joke that our audience is only 7 people. And so people would come up to us and say, I'm one of the 7. So they made shirts on it. And then I wore the shirt at Content Marketing World where they had a booth. And that's one of the things we threw into the partnership afterwards as well, which is if you're a partnership, not only we do a keynote for your event, if you have a booth, you can sponsor a keynote event as well. And then I Pied Piper everybody, as you can see, to their table. That was at an event actually in Vancouver. I think Vancouver, not sure which one. But that's the line all the way down the convention center. And so it works so well, and we threw that in. And there's a live Q&A webinar with Emma as well. It's Jamie there, who's awesome, and the whole team up there. We just love them all. Then we went to Nashville, and we're like, oh, yeah? We're going to come to your office, and we're going to throw an event. They're like, oh, yeah? We're going to bring barbecue. We're like, oh, yeah? We'll bring books. They're like, no, we're going to do this. And we just kept one-upping. And that led to a multi-year relationship. We're not doing it anymore, nor we're not doing the show right now. We're getting ready to reboot it, but they changed ownership. They got bought, and those things happen. But you know what happened here? You know my favorite part, and what our favorite part of this whole thing is? We have wonderful relationships with all of these people still. A lot of them gone to different companies because that's what happens. That's what they do. But the key is we actually really like these people. We like them. They're really good people. And wherever they go, that doesn't change. Now we just have awesome marketing friends in different companies. We're not saying we have awesome marketing friends so they can all sponsor us. The more people we like that we think are good people and awesome people, the better it makes us. It's fun. And I do want to show you this because I did pull it up and you want to see it. One of the things you got to be careful for and how it's going to work, and this will be the last thing I'll bring up today, and I'll see and then we'll wrap it up, is if you're going to make conditions, which you should make conditions if you're paying somebody or airfare and all these type of things. Well, one of these trips, this wasn't a picture from the trip. This is actually one of the Disney cruise excursions we went on, and we did a Disney thing with sponsorship, but I'm working on that part of the talk and the slides still. But this one here, this is not the photo, but we had one where a brand and a resort in Florida said, we'd like to bring down some influencers and, experience the resort and then go back and you make some blog posts. So we contracted with a PR company and we're like, hey, yeah, well, sure. We'll tweet and we'll use the hashtag and we'll blog post, of course. So went down and went on the trip and tried it and didn't like it. I didn't like it. It was just not my thing. It wasn't what and a lot of the stuff that was incredible was not what I loved. It's not the stuff I was into. So I was like, okay, it was okay. And so PR starts following up and I'm just like, it wasn't the experience I thought it was going to be. And they just ignored that. And they're like, great, you owe us a blog post. That was written in there. You owe us a blog post, which is fine. It's contractual. You can say and have whatever attitude you want. But they said, hey, you owe us contractually, you owe us a blog post. And I said, okay, yeah, I got no problem writing a blog post. I didn't like the experience, so I will write about it. Thanks so much. And they wrote back and said, actually, you don't have to write the blog post. We look forward to working with you in the future. And of course, I never did. But that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say with that bar graph. If you're not willing to stay authentic, and if I wrote a post about that and pretended I liked it, there goes the ethics. A lot of my audience would know that. And then we lose them, right? And then we lose them. Michael, I thought you were leaving before. See, it's like you're telling you're going to leave the party, and then you're about out the door, and then I mention you, and then you stick around. Love you, man. Thanks for being in here. Appreciate you. But that's it. End of story. Anyway, thanks so much for dropping by today. Next Wednesday at noon Eastern. So if you don't have daylight savings time where you are, it might be back an hour. Thank you, Avasek, for bringing that up. Make sure you send me your address so we can send you some the Jackass Whisperer socks. Next week, same time, same place. We're going to talk about email marketing, and all the ethics and stories around that. I hope you enjoyed this, if anybody's here still. And be kind to yourself and others. And remember, marketing with, oh, look, a shot landing at Metallica right as we close up and hitting Bob Rock. Oof. It could be true too, Jeff. I still haven't watched Some Kind of Monster. I literally have it on DVD. That's how long I've had it for. And thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. So next week, email. We'll set up a post about it, a reminder, or just put it in your calendar, and we'll be there. Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you for sticking around the whole thing. Appreciate that. Thank you for the time is the most valuable resource we have. Thank you, Ian. Good seeing you. And we'll be back next week. If you like this, if you want to give some of your social currency and share it and put it out there, fine. We love it. We appreciate that. Pauline, thank you. I'm glad you are here as well. Good to see you. We'd love you for share it, like it. Drop by on marketing.com, sign up for the newsletter. And actually, if you want to do some homework and some research, go check it out there. You'll see our welcome message. So if you go to unnewsletter.com or unmarketing.com, sign up and you'll see the strategy in there and what might work. And you'll get to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks. Hendrik, good to see you from up the street. Again, I didn't pull up your comment before. Tim Barnaby, one of the originals. Thank you. See you next week. Take care. Glad we got you to bed an hour early, Avasek. Have a good night. Good seeing you on here. And Paul, cheers to you as well. Thanks always for your support and being here as well. Take care, everybody. We'll see you